Good morning, everyone, and welcome to your Daily 5. I'd like to thank StockCharts.com for inviting me back. I've got some very current charts today. There's an article that was posted recently from June 20th on StockCharts.com, weakness ahead for the indexes, and that's what we're going to be looking at today. I'm Leslie Juflis. Our website is Trading Live Online. And there's one other article too here from May 31st on Stock Charts, and there's also a Daily 5 episode that relates to a couple of the charts today, and that's called Parallel Trend Channel. So you may want to look those up as well. Okay, so this is the show where we have 10 minutes to present 5 charts. So let's get going. I'm going to start with the Nasdaq Composite Index today. And let's start at the top of the chart. You see a dashed pink line. That's the current resistance area. The green line below it, this is where the February 2020 highs were before the decline. And if we just kind of move over to the left, you can see that prices, although they did make a slight new high, they had a gap to the downside. They came back up, made another slight new high, and back down. And we're sitting right on this trend line here. And from my analysis, it does appear to me like we are going to be looking at some weakness, maybe some retracements that we can measure that we'll look at in a couple of charts. Now, on this chart, down here, let's look at the RSI. The RSI had made a high right here with these highs, but as we came up to the second high, we now have a negative divergence here. The MACD made momentum highs back here in April, but since then, it's really been going sideways and not showing much momentum. The on-balance volume here, I'm watching this carefully to see if this turns down. If we have new price highs and the on-balance volume continues, then I'll have to reassess the charts. Now I want to look at, this is the Nasdaq Futures chart, and I've got a parallel trend channel on here, and it's popped out a bit from there, came right back down. This pink center line is an important area of support to watch. If you look through this trend channel, you can see all the times that the price has traded around where this center line is, and we're just approaching it again right now. If we come down through this center line, at a minimum down to the lower end of this channel line, which also is lining up where you see this green line with the previous 2020 highs from February. Now, if we break below this, I'm looking at, got a Fibonacci retracement on from the lows in March, and you can see each support area that I have marked in with the green dashed lines is corresponding to a Fibonacci retracement level. So you can see where the 0.382 is, corresponds over here to these previous highs. The 0.50, there was an area here of a breakout to the upside. Same with the 618 area. Now the RSI on the Nasdaq Futures also showing, we're also showing divergence here. These blue lines here, these are where the RSI showed a lot of strength. So I'm thinking that the RSI is going to be coming back down and retesting these areas. On the futures, the on-balance volume does appear to be turning down as well. Our next chart here is the third chart of this. We're back to the Nasdaq Composite Index, and I want to show you this 60-minute chart so we can get a little bit better look. And you can see here where the February highs were, where the pink line is. You can see a gap up from there, but immediately the price came back down and went right through that gap, and has come back up and retested that area. And so this also is looking negative to me. We have a turn down on the RSI, and the MACD is also starting to turn down. The Dow We're looking at the Dow Jones Industrial now, and on this chart, the Dow has been weaker than the Nasdaq and the S&P through the decline and from the March lows back up again. But let's take a look at a few things here. We've gotten a test on these highs. You see where the gap was. This is from the February, a gap down. So I've got that marked, the high of that gap. Price fell just short of a complete test of that area, and we have an island reversal. We have a gap up here, a gap down here, slight test into this area, and where this blue dashed line is, you can see here that there was a range that was formed between this blue dashed line, and there was a gap that I have marked here to the upside, another gap out of that range, and it's come back down and tested this area again. If we fall below these tests, then the price is likely to come back into minimum the center of the range and down to the lower end of the range below that. I've got some Fibonacci retracements from the March lows up to this high that are also corresponding with some of these support areas within this range. And just below the range, there's a 618 retracement. But here the RSI, let's move down here. The RSI, you can see the weakness where these highs were. We had a bit of a move up to it. And since then, it's just been ranging to the downside and coming back down towards this area to test. On balance volume is on the upper window here, and we can see that the last few days of price on balance volume has sort of been staggering in here. If we get below this area of support on the on balance volume with the price lows, and that would be confirming that move to the downside. So let's move now. So now the S&P, we're going to be looking at the, this is the SPX chart, and this is very current. This was just updated about 40 minutes ago, and I've drawn some trend lines in here. But first, let's start with where the resistance is on the upside. The price in early June has another island reversal. You can see where the yellow circles are. We have the gap up there, and we have the gap down. Between these pink lines here, back from February, we had this large gap. This, was beginning of the severe decline, and price again, just came up and tested that area, and then we had this gap to the downside, a bit of a retracement to the upside, not, sideways there, and we're starting to get some long bars down to the downside. Also, we've had a very high volume bar to the downside here from a few days ago, and this occurred just as the article I mentioned was posted. So these trend lines here, we've already seen one break here. And the other one that is drawn, the lighter blue dash line here, this morning, it appears that it's just starting to break through this trend line here. The RSI is looking weak. This dash purple line is just showing where the strength was in the RSI on the prices moving to the upside. It's not uncommon for these areas to also act as support and resistance with the price. So it does appear that this may be starting to break below that with the break of this trend line. And again, our MACD has not been showing a lot of strength with the last part of this push to the upside, and is now in negative. And I'm watching again very closely the on balance volume to see if this turns down and confirms a move to the downside with this. So that's it for today for my 5 charts on your daily 5, and thank you for joining me, and please come visit me at my website. Have a great week, everyone.
Hey, Grayson Rose here with Stock Charts. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, consider giving it a like down below, maybe leave us a comment, and if you're new to the channel, you can subscribe at the link up above. We're gonna bring you daily content from an incredible collection of technical analysts and financial experts.